This is a video going over the syllabus for Biology 1401 Long Summer 2016 session. To get to the syllabus, you use your course navigation menu over on the left-hand side of the screen. So let's go ahead and click on the syllabus link, and that'll take us to the syllabus itself. You'll see at the top of the syllabus my contact information is listed. My preference is for you to use the Blackboard class email as the primary means of communication, just because I check that very regularly. If you do have an emergency, my cell phone is available. You can call or text. And just keep in mind that I will not answer my phone or return calls or check email after about 10 p.m. at night or on Sundays. Sundays are family days, so I don't usually work on class things on Sundays. If you need to contact the College of Natural Sciences and Mathematics, the number for that department is listed there as well. Next comes a general course description as well as a couple of learner-centered outcomes and objectives. There will be quizzes over this material that you'll take throughout the semester. And then this is just kind of a mission statement for my purposes for this class. And so the overall mission for the class is to help you understand the evidence for a creator, the complex world that he has created for his glory, and then our responsibility to this creator to be good stewards of what he has made. Now, this is an important thing. You'll notice as we go that I've highlighted some of the different things on the syllabus. This first item has to do with the required supplies for the class. And the reason I've listed these out is because, I've taught this class for quite a few semesters now, and the first couple of semesters, it was not intuitive necessarily for the students to realize that they needed all of these things. And so that's why I'm putting it in the syllabus, so you know up front that you do need to have, first thing, reliable internet access. This is critical, especially if you're overseas, if you're taking the class long distance. You're going to need to do pretty much everything online. So if you do not have reliable internet access, it's going to be extremely difficult to take this class and to do well in it. So that's the first item. The second item is a personal computer. Either yours or roommates that you can have easy access to. If you're near the campus or if you have a computer lab nearby, that's another option as well. And on your computer, you're going to need to be using Microsoft Word and Microsoft Excel. So make sure you've got those programs on your computer. The lab reports that you'll be submitting throughout the semester typically involve Word and sometimes also Excel. The next thing you need is the textbook. The details of that are listed below. We'll go over that in just a second. The textbook is necessary to do well in this class. It's an online class, which means a lot of it is self-study, and you are having to work through and read the chapters on your own and do well with those on your own. So you do need to have the textbook. You can buy it from DBU, you can buy it from Amazon, or you can even rent it from Amazon. Just check the dates, the rental dates, if you go that route to make sure you have it for the time that you need it for the semester. You can click on this link in the syllabus to get to that. But any of those options are fine as long as you have the textbook. The next item you need is the lab manual. This is a physical lab manual book that you will have. It's spiral bound. It has all of the labs in it for the semester. It is produced through DBU, so it is only available at the DBU bookstore. For whatever reason, many semesters they run out of copies and have to order more, and it gets back ordered. So if you can, try to get yours early and just make sure you get the version that's for the online class. There is also a spiral bound lab manual that is for Biology 1401 that is the on-campus class. But if you get the one that's for the online class, it'll say online on the front cover. So if it does not say online on the front cover, you may have the wrong one. Sometimes the people helping you at the bookstore don't realize there are two different options, or they may just accidentally grab the wrong one. So just always make sure it says online on the front cover. And then the last thing that you'll need is access to a separate website. The BioLab Manual website is where you will view videos and presentations that will help you as you work through the labs. And I say help you, you need to be able to see these to make it through the labs. If you don't have access to this, if you only have the lab manual, it'll be very difficult to make it through the labs. You really need both of these things, the lab manual and access to this separate website. So the way that works is when you buy a new spiral-bound lab manual from DBU, there is an access code in that allows you to register at this website. So they kind of go together. Now, if you have a used manual, then that access code has already been used up for access to the website. So you're going to have to actually buy a new access code directly from the website. Now I've got a video that's kind of a separate video from a previous semester that goes through how to do the labs to kind of make a little bit more sense of this system for online labs. So be sure to watch that. But basically you're going to have to be able to get to this website either having the access code from your new lab manual or purchasing an access code directly from the website. Either way will work, but you need both the manual and access to the website to make it through the labs. And the labs are very important. It's a significant part of your grade in the class. So you've got to be able to do that to succeed in the class. Just a note, as I've said, you need these things, but you also really need to have everything by the first day of class, especially for the summer session. So there is a lot of material that we're going to have to get through in these 10 weeks, and so you've got to have your supplies and be ready to go and hit the ground running the very first week of class. So you've got chapters that are assigned, you have labs that are assigned the very first week. If you're not going to have that ready to go, you're going to get behind and you're going to fail. I've seen it happen in previous summer semesters where students got behind the first week or two and never got really caught back up. So make sure you've got everything ready to go right at the beginning of the semester. If you have been unfortunate and basically are on the back-ordered list for the lab manual, but you have ordered it from the bookstore, send me a copy of the receipt and let me know that it's back-ordered. And what I can do is actually give you access to some PDF documents to kind of help you get through the labs until your lab manual comes in. But I can only do that if you can show me proof that you purchased it, so you'll have to email me that receipt. Here is the detailed information for the textbook and the lab manual. The assigned textbook is Biology Science for Life with Physiology, 5th edition. Belk and Mayer are the authors. And so you got your ISBN listed here. If you go to the DBU bookstore online, I've listed your search menu items to get to this information, both for the textbook and the lab manual. You will notice, and also you probably noticed this when you register for the class, it's listed as two separate classes, so it's 1401 and 14L1. So when you're doing your search terms for the DBU bookstore, you have to go through both of those search routes to get the textbook and the lab manual. If there's any other material, any scientific articles, I'll provide those for you. Here's an important section. It has to do with how your final course grade is calculated. So the grade that I report to DBU, to the college at the end of the semester, is a combination of both your lecture and lab grades for the class. And it is determined based off of the following breakdown. So the lecture material counts for about 60% of your grade, and the lab material counts for about 40%. Now, even though I've done this, so that way you kind of get credit for both of these things for your final course grade, a key point is that if you fail either the lab portion or the lecture portion, you automatically fail both. So let's say, for example, that you did really well in the lecture portion of the class, and you were getting most of your credit on these things, and so you're passing the class overall because you're doing well in the lecture portion, but you're failing the lab portion because you have accumulated some zeros because you haven't been doing labs. If at the end of the semester your lab average is below a 60%, you automatically fail everything. And that's just DBU's policy for any science classes that have a lecture and a lab. So what I've got listed for you in Blackboard, and I'll show you this in a separate video where it walks through how to navigate the course, I'll have listed for you both your final course grade, your running total, and then also your lab material portion and your lecture material portion. So you can see how you're doing overall, both with the lab material and the lecture material. So you will know if you're not passing, even though your final course grade, the calculation there may be reported as passing, if you're failing either one of the two portions of that, you will automatically fail at the end of the semester. So the lecture material, which is 60% of your total, is a combination of discussions that we'll have every week, and then also chapter quizzes over the material in the textbook, and both of those are 20%. The midterm exam is 10%, and the final exam is 10%. The lab material is 40% of your total, comprised of your lab assignments and your lab quizzes, and each of those are 20% of that 40% total. If you have any questions about how that's broken down, you can definitely email me and I'll go over that with you. But basically, your final course grade is a combination of everything that you're doing. It is your responsibility to make sure that we've gotten all of your submitted assignments. I will do my best to enter grades very quickly in your Blackboard gradebook, so you'll be able to see if you have any zeros. If you see a zero that you think you turned something in and you're seeing a zero, then you need to immediately email me. Don't wait weeks and weeks or to the end of the semester and then say, oh no, I turned that in. You need to, as soon as you see that zero, you need to contact me so we can get that straightened out. This is an important concept as well. So the deadlines. Deadlines for everything is going to be due midnight on Sunday night, the week that they're assigned according to the course schedule, which we're going to get to in a second. So I do not accept late work in this class. Especially in the summer, you've got to keep up or you will not pass. So no late work is accepted. So when we get down to this course schedule here in a little bit, you will see the due dates for everything listed on the course schedule. But basically it's midnight on Sunday. And then for the discussion board topics, because this is supposed to be an interactive class discussion, you need to try to have your first initial comment up by Thursday night to get the full credit. So if you wait to post until everything's on Sunday for your discussion board, you will not receive as many points as you would have if you had started your post on Thursday. We're trying to kind of spread out the posts so we can actually have a good discussion each week over these different topics. I do open up the course session folders early so that you can work ahead if you need to. If you know that you're going to be absent or have a lot of stuff going on at work one week and you want to work ahead the week before, you certainly can do that. The only exception to that are the exams, which are only available the week they're assigned. So after the add drop date, no late work is accepted on any sort of discussion, assignment, or quiz. If you enroll late in the class, so after the first week but before the add drop deadline, you can make up what you've missed, but you need to email me so we can discuss that. Makeup exams are allowed on a case-by-case basis if there is a life-altering event. So if you were in the hospital, a loved one is in the hospital, there's a death in the family, something serious, we can make up the midterm and the final, but we need to figure that out as soon as possible. So please contact me either prior to the exam or within about 24 hours after the window closes for the exam period. DBU's policy is that the professor is supposed to respond to any email or contact from the student within 48 hours. My personal policy is I try to respond back within 24 hours. I typically check my email every day other than Sunday, but depending on what time of the day I check, I may not get back to you till the next day. It just kind of depends on when you sent the email. But I do try to check it pretty much every day. The attendance policy for an online class has to do with material submitted, work that is done, discussions that are participated in. All of that counts as attendance. So if you go a week and you don't turn anything in and you don't comment on any of the discussions and you don't email me, that is considered an absence. If an absence exceeds 25% of the total class time, you can overall fail the class. And so for a 10-week course, 25% of that is about 3 weekly absences. So if you have 3 or more weekly absences where you don't turn anything in, you can fail the class. Now I can tell you from experience that with a summer class, because so much is due each week, if you went 3 weeks and had all zeros for those 3 weeks, you would be failing anyway. So regardless of the fact that it's allowed according to the attendance policy, you just would not be doing well in the class anyway if you have that many absences. Here's the grading system. This is just the standard at DBU, so you can see the conversion between your percentage grade, your letter grade, and your GPA. And so this is applying to the final course grade as shown in Blackboard, which, as I said, I will go through in the navigation video where we navigate through the course. All right, so The way this class works, as I've kind of alluded to before, is that it's a 16-session course. So it's set up for 16 sessions, which makes sense during the spring and fall semesters because there are 16 weeks in those semesters, and basically it's a session per week. Now, that gets a little tricky with the summer because the summer is only 10 weeks long. So basically we've compressed these 16 sessions into 10 weeks. That means that some weeks you will have more than one session you have to complete. You're going to have 2 sessions that you get through for us to get through all 16 in the 10 weeks that we have allotted for the long summer semester. For the lecture portion of the class, you will have assigned textbook chapters for each session. And the course schedule will be your friend. It will tell you everything that's assigned for each week and when all of that is due. Typically, I've got videos and study guides that you can work through for the chapters to help you go through the material. And there's also PowerPoint presentations that you can view as well to kind of help review the material. And then you'll be taking a quiz over the assigned textbook readings. Pretty much every week you'll have a quiz over the textbook material. And then also there is a midterm exam and a final exam. The lab portion of the course involves 12 labs that we get through this semester. The course schedule will tell you when every lab is assigned and when every lab is due. What you'll do to get through the labs is you'll download the lab report form, which is found under the lab assignment section of each session, and then you will fill that out as you work through the lab using your lab manual and then the online videos and slides that you'll find at the BioLab Manual website to help you complete the lab form. Once you've completed it, you will submit it through Blackboard as an assignment, or you can email it to the student grader as well, and it will get graded. And then there's a quiz that you take in Blackboard over the content of the lab that you will do after you've submitted the report. Just a quick comment about quizzes and exams. Any quiz that you take, assume that it is closed note and closed neighbor, so no outside assistance for any quizzes or any exams, unless I say otherwise. So the midterm exam, the final exam, you should not be using your textbook on. The quizzes, you should not be using your labs on. Those should be taken just like they would be in class, where you cannot use any sort of outside material to make it through the quizzes. We will also have class discussions that will be over topics that relate to either what we're studying in lecture or what we're studying in lab, or maybe just current events. And the class discussions are graded according to the discussion board rubric, which is reviewed in a separate video. Now, I am very happy to help you if you run into problems understanding the material in the textbook or working through the labs. Just be sure to email me specific questions. So don't send me an email that says, I don't understand lab 1. That's not very helpful. I need to know specifically what your question is and kind of what section of lab you're having trouble with, and I'd be happy to help you with that. But just realize that this is an online class, which means a lot of it is self-taught, and you're working through it kind of at your own pace. The pace for this summer is very intense. Even for normal semesters, it's hard. For the summer, it's pretty crazy. So on average, my summer students end up spending 15 to 20 hours a week working on the material for this course. That is a lot of time. Basically, this class is like a part-time job, okay? So if you were taking it on campus during a normal semester, you would be spending 3 hours a week in lab, and you'd be spending about 3 hours a week in lecture. So you would be spending 6 hours on campus plus any study time that you're doing outside of class. So in the summer, we're doing some weeks, we have 2 weeks worth of material that we're having to cram into 1 week. So think of that. That's basically 12 hours of class time a week, not to mention the outside study time that you're having to spend to actually learn the material. So when I say 15 to 20 hours a week, I mean it. You're going to be working a lot on this class. So just be prepared for that. If you can make it through the intensity of the summer, you will succeed. But it's hard. It's a hard class to get through in the summer. Here is the schedule of assignments, and as I've mentioned, each week you're going to have somewhere between 2 to 4 chapters that are assigned. You're going to have 1 to 2 labs, you're going to be taking a couple quizzes, and you're going to be posting to the discussions. And all of that has to be done by the end of the day on Sunday because no late work is accepted. However, I do drop your lowest lab report grade, your lowest discussion grade, your lowest textbook quiz grade, and your lowest lab quiz grade of the semester. So if you have a bad week, it will not hurt your overall average for the class. Now, if you have several bad weeks, that will. You only get one of each of those things dropped, but I do drop one. Let's take a look at the schedule, and I will try to explain kind of how I've done this. I tried to make it as simple as possible, but because it's 16 course session folders in 10 weeks, it's a little bit weird, a little bit complicated here on the schedule. So this first column has to do with the week number itself. So you'll see that there's week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so that's the 10 weeks of the long summer semester. The second column are the specific dates of that week. So the first week starts on Tuesday 5/31 and goes through Sunday 6/5. Week 2 starts on 6/6 and goes through 6/12, etc., etc. The third column has to do with which course session folders you will be accessing to get these assignments done. So for week 1, you only have to worry about accessing course session folder 1. For week 2, it'll be the second folder. But for week 3, it'll be folders 3 and 4. So this is one of those weeks where we've got basically 2 weeks crammed into one. The fourth column is your lecture material that's been assigned, which is the textbook chapters and any quizzes over that material. The next column is the lab that is assigned. There's an exercise and a quiz for each of the labs. The next column is this discussion topic that will be assigned for that week, and then the last column is the deadline. Now, I've highlighted this first deadline because I don't actually have anything due the first week of class. I kind of feel like the first week of class, you're trying to get your feet under you, you're trying to get all your materials together, and so I don't have anything due until the second week. However, your assignments from weeks 1 and 2 are both due by Sunday night on the second week of class, so 6/12. So everything's due for sessions 1 and 2, weeks 1 and 2, by 6/12, 11:59 p.m. I would not recommend waiting until Saturday to start working on your assignments. You will not get them done. Okay, so the labs take several hours typically to work through and to take the quiz on. I would not even wait and to do both of the labs on this day that they're due. You really need to start getting your assignments done this first week, but you've got a little bit of a grace period because nothing's due until the second week. I've alternated colors in the course schedule to kind of differentiate between the different weeks. So for example, here under week 3, where you're doing your session folders 3 and 4, these are green, so kind of visually you can break it up between weeks 2, 3, and 4. Now, your midterm exam is in week 5. This is the same week as our 4th of July holiday. The DBU campus is closed from the 1st through the 4th, so your midterm exam will be due for the first part of that week. So instead of the deadline being on Sunday, the deadline is on the 30th. And you don't really have anything else assigned that week other than Chapter 12, which will be part of the test. So you should be able to get that done in the few days that you've got that assigned and available. The final exam is in session folder 10, or week 10, sorry, session folder 16, but week 10. And the final exam is over chapters 13 through 25. If you are a graduating senior, where you are graduating this summer, you will need to take your final exam in week 9, because I've got to get your grades turned in by noon on the 1st. So if you're a graduating senior, please email me as we get closer to the end of this semester so we can make sure you have everything turned in so there are no hiccups with your graduation. Everybody else has to take the final exam no later than Wednesday, August 3rd, 11:59 p.m. We have some reference materials, some other recommended reading, the financial aid and the disabilities information you can read through on your own. You should be familiar with these things from other classes. Just a comment about the honor code. It is okay to get help on the labs if you want to partner up with another student, or if you go to any sort of study sessions on campus. If you were doing this in a class, you would often have a lab group or a lab partner to help you work through the labs. So that's okay to kind of work on those together. If you need more information about the on-campus study sessions, you can email me and I will find that out for you. But the quizzes and exams are to be done alone. So they are closed note, closed book. You are not supposed to take them with any sort of outside assistance. Assume it's the same as if you were in a class. So you take the quiz with just what you know, your knowledge, and you take the exams with your knowledge. Final course grades, we've kind of discussed this already, but you can read through that again. And then just the last little note, it is important to me that you do well in this class. I don't want you to fall behind. I don't want you to start floundering. It is a lot easier to correct a problem at the beginning of the semester than to wait till the end of the semester. So I'd rather fix it while it's small than wait till it gets big. So please email me if you are running into trouble, if you don't know that you can make it through, we can talk about it and kind of decide the best course of action for you.